Hi, so this is a short tutorial on job order cost accounting. This is actually a series of videos where we cover the basics of job order cost accounting, and you can find the next few videos in links on the description below. Okay, so let's get started. So before we dive in job order cost accounting, let's take a step back and remember the two major types of accounting. So there's financial accounting and managerial accounting. Financial accounting is a type of accounting where we look at the general picture of the company, where we see how it's doing as a whole rather than its individual parts. Although we can see that too, but we don't really get into the detail. It's different from managerial accounting because in managerial accounting, you get to see the minute details of each job, of each department, of each product, of each process, and you can really see metrics that matter to you as a manager because not everything has to be known by the public, not everything has to be known by your investors. They just need to know the bottom line, which is of course the profit. But for us managers, we have to know, for example, we need to know how much does this product actually cost to produce on a per product basis, or how much does this department actually is costing us the past 2 years. These are information that we need as managers to do a better job, well, as managers. So that's the main difference between financial and managerial accounting. So what we're discussing here is a part of managerial accounting, and job order cost accounting is actually part of something called a cost accounting system. So there are many types of cost accounting systems, and it boils down to two, which we know one, which is job order cost accounting, which is what we're going to discuss now, and process cost accounting. So let's run through a bit what's the differences between both. In job order cost accounting, what happens here is that you can track each expense into the different jobs, meaning for each different job, you know how much exactly it costs. That's the use of job order cost accounting to know which job costs too much, which job is costing you less, and to basically know the details of what each job is costing you. So in job order cost accounting, your products or your jobs are highly customizable, meaning they're not standardized, meaning that's a very low volume of production. For process cost accounting, it's of course the opposite. So in process cost accounting, you deal with processes rather than individual jobs. So let's say you have one process which deals with three departments. So the direct materials, your labor, your factory overhead, they go in one department to go through one process, and they go to the second department, and through process cost accounting you will know how much does it cost for all of these materials, of all of this labor, to go through department 1, to go through department 2, and what's the cost of getting it from here to there. So that's the use of process cost accounting, to account for processes. So the difference here, that process cost accounting is exactly the opposite of job cost accounting, wherein processes are very standardized, they're not that customizable, and they're high volume because it's a process churning out product after product. So that's the two main types of cost accounting systems under managerial accounting. So for now, we're going to discuss job order cost accounting. Like I said, job order cost accounting is when you know how much materials you're putting in job 1, how much labor you're putting in job 2, how much overhead you're putting in job 3. You know where everything is going, so you can directly assign costs to certain jobs, to certain, let's say, products that are custom made. So this is the use of job order cost accounting. So let's take for an example. Okay, what if we're presented with the data here? Okay, so we have material costs of $1,000, we have labor costs of $1,400, and we have factory overhead of $1,800. So this is the kind of stuff that you will see in financial accounting statements, right? You'll see the general picture. So what managerial accounting does for us, or in this case, what job order cost accounting does for us, it tells us where each of these material costs, labor costs, and factory overhead costs go. So we'll actually go into detail on these in the next few videos, but for now I'm going to give you a general picture. Okay, so let's say what happens if our material costs of $1,000 is actually split into direct material costs of 900 and indirect material costs of 100. So we know from previous lessons that direct material costs are costs that you can assign directly to a product, and indirect material costs are costs that you cannot assign. So these are stuff like supplies, stuff that are spread out through your job. Unlike direct material costs, is that you know that this material was used for this certain job. Okay, let's say we're given this. We found this through our job cost accounting system. Let's say for labor costs, we also have the same. We know that direct labor is 1,200 and indirect labor is 200. And lastly, for overhead, we know it's 1,800. So all of this will translate into some kind of data that will end up looking like this. So you're going to find out through job order cost accounting that job 1 actually cost you 200, indirect material, so on and so forth. And you can see the importance of this is because you can find which certain jobs are actually costing you more. Unlike if you only have the data from a while ago where you only know this, well, you can't really make much inference on that as a manager. So where are these material costs going, right? Where are these labor costs going? We don't know. But through job order cost accounting, we can actually know where it's going per job we have. So as you can see in this example, in job 3, we're actually spending the most on job 3, right? So in job 2, it's actually the same as job 1. And you're going to learn how to compute all of this in the next videos that you can find in the description below. So that's basically it. And these costs, you're going to account them in something called the job cost sheet. And this is where you place all your costs. It's like a reference card wherein you say, for job 1, I used $200 worth of direct material. For job 1, I also used $300 worth of direct labor. And you're going to see that something's missing, right? There's no overhead costs. This is because we don't put in overhead costs directly into the job cost sheet. And you're going to learn more of that in the next few videos. Basically, the job cost sheet, what it shows you is how much it basically shows you all of this information per job. So each job has its own job cost sheet. And this job cost sheet, it travels from the goods in process inventory if this job is still being created. It goes to the finished goods inventory if the job's already finished, and it goes to your cost of goods sold if the job has already been sold. Self-explanatory. Well, that's basically it. The job cost sheet, well, as it tracks your costs per job, you're going to be transferring it from one inventory to the other. Because, for example, let's say this job 1, $500. It's still being created, so it's currently in your goods in process inventory for job 1. Then as soon as it's finished, you can say it's not in your goods in process anymore because it's finished. So you transfer the job cost sheet to your finished goods inventory. So now you don't account that certain job 1, in your goods in process. You now account for it in your finished goods, and so forth as you sell it. So that's basically job order cost accounting. I think I speak too fast, so actually there's an option down below on YouTube where you can slow it down if you're playing it on the web. And if you're playing it on mobile, I'm very sorry. So you can go back and rewind. That's the beauty of YouTube. So I hope you learned something, and we're going to go into detail on how you can actually find out how the cost flows for materials, how the cost flows for your labor, and how the cost flows for your overhead in the next few videos. So until then, see you, and I hope you learned something.